The idea of changing the stories in film in India changing, I can imagine in 10 years it's going to be even bigger, because for the longest time, and I mean, Bollywood is always synonymous with musicals. They're not all musicals, but it plays a big role. But they're always about hope. There's always this idea of hope. And French cinema and American cinema really changed when it was no longer about hope.
That's right.
About despair.
That's right. Well, I think, you know, it's a country which is strange because, I mean, for example, a lot of people like me, and there's a huge population of us, who have grown up in big cities like Mumbai and Chennai and Delhi and Calcutta, our entire education is in English. So English becomes our first language. We think in English.
And for many, English is the only language.
Yes, that is also true. But what happens is, for someone like me, I have strong influences on me which are Indian. And then I also have strong influences on me which are from all over the world, because all my reading is in English. I haven't read a single book in Hindi. So I've read authors, I mean, when I was a kid, I was reading Enid Blyton. So, you know, right from a small age, you have influences which are so diverse. So someone like me, by the time I'm 18 or so, and I'm getting into a field which is cinema, there are so many influences on me, and I'm not purely Indian in that sense. You know, and so there are a lot of people like me who are, you know, who have grown up with a lot of influences on them. And so what we come out with is not necessarily purely Indian, if you know what I mean.
What did you think then? Because for a lot of people, I was lucky enough to grow up in a neighborhood that was very diverse, and there was a large Indian and Pakistani population, and there are those places in Canada. But for many people, their understanding of Indian culture is Slumdog Millionaire, and that really. What did you think of that?
Well, I thought the film. I can see why it did well. I can see why it really connected with people, and I'm a big fan of Danny, and I was so happy for him and his entire team that the film did so well. I think for someone like me who has lived all his life in India, it didn't ring true on a lot of levels. You know, the fact is that I have strong points of reference. Being an Indian, I have strong points of reference. So when cops in the police station speak in English, it doesn't seem correct to me. Or when the slum kid speaks in English and in a British accent, you know, it kind of jars, you know. But I can
50
see...
50 years ago, maybe that would have happened, right? The British accent.
So I think that, you know, unfortunately, you know, for a film like Slumdog, and because it's not really an Indian point of view, I think Danny is someone who's not Indian, and that's his take. And I think he's hugely talented. But it's not really how India is. You know, unfortunately, I have a strong reference point, so I can't help but react that way. But I can see why people who don't have a reference point love the film.